Good afternoon, Knicks Nation. Today is Friday, the 16th day of January 2026. Happy Friday. I hope you're all safe and healthy and that you had a good week and have good, safe, and healthy plans for the weekend. Blessings upon those that work in health, along with first responders who every day are out here trying to save lives, those that pick up garbage to keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children, victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People helping those that are victims of prostitution and child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, profiteers, and perverts that create the demands that cause these evil industries to exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, military veterans, homeless in the United States of America. Millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There was a basketball game last night. The New York Knicks fell to the Golden State Warriors 126-113. In watching this game and in analyzing this game, which is why I don't do immediate, and please don't ask me, I'm not doing immediate response videos or live streams right after a loss. I'd like to analyze the situation before I start responding with emotions that make no sense. For example, I was looking at some X quotations and people were just writing off Karl-Anthony Towns. That is stupid. Karl-Anthony Towns is an all-NBA player, and he's going to probably be so again this year. And last night, Karl-Anthony Towns had 20 rebounds. 20. Anytime somebody gets 20 rebounds, they have done work. And so if Karl-Anthony Towns, the way I look at it, he had 17 points and he had 20 rebounds. He was the only Knick that was plus in the rotation, +4. He had a tremendous game. If Karl-Anthony Towns was to average 17 and 20, I think we'd all be pretty happy. So I have no problem with Karl-Anthony Towns, despite the media creating a big whole hubbub over nothing. But as I analyzed the game last night and analyzed the entire situation, I came to certain conclusions. For example, last night we had no Jalen Brunson and no Mitchell Robinson. Now, when the Knicks do have their full contingent, that is, the starting five with Brunson in it, and then the bench with Mitch Rob, Deuce, Shamet, and Jordan Clarkson, the Knicks win a lot. They're very formidable with that crew. And so, what's the problem now? Well, they didn't have that crew, and they really don't have it because Mitch Rob doesn't play back-to-back all the time, and then Brunson's been hurt. Deuce has been hurt at times. You've had Karl-Anthony Towns been hurt. Josh Hart's been hurt. And then nobody's been hurt. So you had the litany of injuries, but nobody like season ending, okay? But enough to create issues. That's what we needed to discuss today. That's what we needed to address. The issues that exist when the Knicks are not at full strength. The problem last night is the lack, and the problem from the beginning of the season is the lack of production from Gershon Yabu. And that's the problem, because Yabu was signed and counted on to be a guy that can play the 4 or the 5 and come in and play rotation minutes at either of those positions if necessary. He has definitely been a step slow, a step late, a little bit off the whole season. He's had his glimpses, and maybe we always like, well, maybe he's turning the corner. No, he's not turning the corner. He really is not fitting with the Knicks. And that's a very important spot that he's in when you think about it. So first, let's address Jose Alverado. That's not going to happen unless you want to lose Dadiet or Tyler Kolek. And I know some of y'all say, no, we can't lose Tyler. Yes, we can. We don't want to. But I'm saying if anybody thinks Jose Alverado is going to be on this team, you might as well decide one of those guys are going, along with Yabu. Okay? I don't want to lose Kolek, so I don't think we're going to get Alvarado. Because when you think about it, where would Alvarado play? And this is what really bothers me about people that are always suggesting trades. You never really think about the current roster. You don't respect the current roster. Or do you think about where the minutes are going to come from said player that you think we should go get? The Knicks now have starting point guard Jalen Brunson. Starting shooting guard, Mikal Bridges. The Knicks now have backup point guard, Deuce McBride. Backup shooting guard, Landry Shamet. The Knicks also have another shooting guard, Jordan Clarkson, and another point guard, Tyler Kolek. Where would Alvarado play? Well, he wouldn't, because he doesn't fit. It's not fantasy, as I've said before. It's fit. Okay, now, issues that we had before the season, if you recall, with Mike Brown, is that Mike Brown's teams can score. They cannot always defend. Now, just last week in Phoenix and in Portland, the Knicks actually played good defense in both of those games. But the last couple of games, as we know, they could not get stops, specifically last night. Stan Van Gundy, who I don't respect as much, we like his brother Jeff, Knick coach. Stan Van Gundy's, But he said a couple of things last night. He said the Knicks can't get stops, which was true, and he said something very interesting. He said the Knicks are gassed. And he specifically said, Josh Hart is gassed. And he's right. Why? Because Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby had to play extended minutes because there was no guy like a Yabu spot that would come in and relieve them. What do I mean? Well, we're talking about two guys, really. Saddiq Bey and our boy, Precious Achiuwa. We're going to talk about why and how we would acquire them. Now, first, Saddiq Bey. It is obvious. Saddiq Bey is a Villanova guy. And just like the other Villanova guys, that is Hart, Mikal Bridges, and Brunson, he's a tough dude, and he knows how to play basketball the right way. So for him, first of all, they'd have to be a willingness on the side of New Orleans to trade him. Now, New Orleans' situation, as we are aware, is they have a $40 million commitment to Zion Williamson, over 40 for the next 3 seasons, including this one. They have a $32+ million commitment for the next 2 seasons to Jordan Poole. Now, they're going to have to remove them to save money. They're right now, that is the New Orleans Pelicans, are going to pay a small tax of $2 million with this roster, which is not a lot of money, but why are you paying a tax when you're a lottery team, right? So I can tell you Zion Williamson and Jordan Poole are going to be on their way out. DeJounte Murray, they owe him $30 million for the next 3 seasons, including this one. He's 29. I think he goes too. That leaves Trey Murphy III, Herb Jones. These guys, it's going to be like vultures to teams in the NBA flying in and picking what they can get. What does New Orleans want? Draft capital and young talent. Now, with the Knicks can give them 2 second-round picks coming from Washington. Washington's not going to be a first-round pick. It's going to be 2 second-round picks. And then you can give them a young player like a Dadiet, okay, with Yabusele. So you give them Yabusele, and you take back Saddiq Bey, who they owe $6 million this year and $6 million next year. That would work. That depends on if New Orleans is willing to deal. That's a good deal, I feel like, for that. That's giving them 2 second-round picks and a young player. They're going to be taking on Yabusele, but they only got him for 1 more year, pretty much the same price you got Saddiq Bey at. So in other words, you get the same Saddiq Bey salary, but you get 2 second-round picks and a young player. If they don't want to deal, because the Don has a price in mind, and he's not going to go over that price. I know people like to bring up the 5 first-round picks from Mikal, but that was the price he was willing to pay. And I, for one, never complained about that, unlike other knuckleheads. I think that was a good deal for us. And I'm glad we got Mikal Bridges. And when it's time to get this chip, you're going to be glad you got Mikal Bridges, just like last year against Boston. Now, why Saddiq Bey? Well, I mentioned he plays the right way. He's coming off an ACL, but he's healthy, and he's only 26. He signed through next year, $6 million. So you got the same slot you had with Yabu. Only thing is now you're bringing back less than you're sending out, so you're off of $2 million. Okay, you're sending out 8, getting back 6. And Sadiq Bey can play multiple positions, namely the 2, not the 2, but the 3 and the 4. He can play both of those, the 3 and the 4, which is what you need. Okay, so he can come in and sub in for OG, Josh, McCall. He can guard 1 through 4 also. Okay, somebody had a nerve to tell me he don't play defense. You obviously have not been watching Saddiq Bey. I have. Liked him coming out of Villanova. The draft that he had, he went to Detroit. Detroit got a treasure trove that year. Okay, they got a treasure trove. They got him. They got Beef Stew. They got this French kid that didn't work out at the point guard spot, and they got a treasure trove that year. And so Saddiq would be a perfect fit. He would come in. He could spell all of those guys. He can spell them for serious minutes. He can start if he needs to. And now, when you're talking about Saddiq, you're dealing with a bench that would be in its full strength: Mitch Rob, Saddiq, Deuce, Jordan Clarkson, okay, and Landry Shamet. You got a whole 5. And Mike Brown would use them, and they would be effective, okay? Now, if somebody's hurt, like we're missing Brunson and we're missing Mitch Rob, right? So you'd still have Carlton Town starting. You still have Deuce starting. By the way, Deuce is balling. 25 last night. 25 last night. Him, I got to say, he had 6 3-pointers he hit. Carlton Towns was 2 of 4. OG was only 1 of 4, but OG was balling 25 points. He was 10 of 20, 4 or 5 from the line. He was being very aggressive, as you want him to be. Now, he was -6. Okay, we had a bad night last night, but that's what you want. See, when you're looking at that, OG 25, Carl 17 and 20, McCall 21, Deuce 25 points, 6 assists. That's what you want. But look at the bench. As a side note, Jordan Clarkson. Well, Yabu said 4 minutes, -9. He was a waste of time. But for the rotation, 10 minutes for Hoop Party. Hoop Party's just not ready, y'all. I know y'all like the youngins to play, but this is why I kept trying to tell you, and I still try to tell you, we're trying to win this chip. We can't worry about playing youngins. So Hoop Party's not ready for prime time. And you know what happened last night? Did y'all see on 2 occasions, 100-year-old Al Horford just drove past Hoop Party like Hoop Party was standing still. Like, I couldn't believe it. He's not even a guard. He dribbled past him. I wasn't happy with Hoop Party behind that. I wasn't expecting a lot, but stay in front of an old man, right? But anyway, Hoop Party's not ready. Clarkson he was -18. Terrible game, 18 minutes. And then Landry Shamet, who's just coming back. We can't criticize Landry Shamet. He's just coming back. And he did hit 2 threes, and he's going to be what we expect, okay? Then there's Tyler Kolek, 11 points, -12. Tyler Kolek, I'm not going to say he's not ready, but we got other guys that's more ready. That's what I'm saying. And so what you'll be looking at, and look at that now. In the bench last night, that bench that I just named scored a whole grand total of 19 points last night. 20 points last night. You need 30 from your bench. Now, in this scenario, where you wouldn't have Brunson or Mitch Rob, and you had Saddiq Bey, Saddiq would be getting 15, 20 minutes, right? So you're going to get Saddiq, you're going to get Jordan Clarkson, you're going to get Landry Shamet, right? Now, Saddiq, Jordan Clarkson, Landry Shamet, that's what, and you might get a few minutes of Kolek. But Saddiq can come in for OG. OG last night played 37 minutes. OG played 37, Hart played 37. You can cut that down now to 32, 30 for each one, right? Deuce played 37. You can give Landry Shamet, you can give Jordan Clarkson, you can give them more minutes. You can give even, Kolek some minutes there. That would have made them fresher. I think it would have been a different game. Just that one change would have made it different. See, when you're at this level in terms of the top teams in the league, just a slight change can make a huge difference. Everything else being equal. But now, and look at this. In the first quarter, the Knicks were 35-30. They end up going into the half down 3. But they were losing steam already. That's what it was, losing steam. They were balling in the first quarter, but they could not sustain it. They needed that extra piece. And like I said, at this level of excellence, where the Knicks are among the top 6, 7 teams in the league, both conferences combined, I mean, and definitely top 3 in the East, one little change can make a big difference. So that's why there's the argument for Saddiq. And I can see that. Now, Precious. As I analyze this, so I think we all agree, right? Last year's price is not this year's price when it comes to Precious Achiuwa. Precious balled, right? And Precious is capable of giving you that on a regular basis. The problem is our boy Tibbs did not give him that on a regular basis. For some unexplained reason, still unexplained, he cut our boy Precious out of the rotation. After Precious was a soldier the year before, balling when everybody was hurt. So anyway, now we all see it, right? Now it's pretty obvious. What we knew on the DL when we got him from Toronto, and everybody knows, right? Okay, but think about this. Precious is on a 1-year deal. What does that mean? He can walk this summer for nothing. Now, you are owners, in terms of Sacramento, you're owners of the rights right now of Precious Achiuwa. The ball is in Precious's court. He can sign this summer with whoever he wants. Free agent, unrestricted. And there's nothing Sacramento can do. So if you want to recoup something, some asset for Precious Achiuwa, you do it this trade deadline before he walks this summer for nothing. Now, if you want to keep him, you offer him a contract. But again, Precious has the ball in his hand. It's in his court right now. So he can decide, I'll sign your extension, or he can decide not. And when they interviewed him, he was a little butthurt, rightfully so, about how the Knicks treated him, but there was still love there. Did y'all check it? There was still love there to come back to New York. So, with Precious, the Knicks could get Yabu 2 second-round picks, and we get Precious. We give up $6 million. We might not even have to give up a youngin' for him. We give just Yabu selling the 2 second-round picks, and they got 2 second-round picks for a guy that was going to leave and walk for nothing this summer. Now, if they wanted to press for a youngin', okay, I'm not fighting with them about that. But with Precious now, again, let's look at last night's game. Instead of Yabu, you got Precious there. Precious is going to play, 18, 20 minutes, right? So you have Precious, Clarkson, Shamet, and you get a little bit of Kolek. This is when we don't have Brunson and we don't have Mitch Robinson. Now, when we got Mitch Robinson, Brunson, we got 5 guys. You got a second unit of 5 guys. Mob Deep is full, okay? And that'll be a hell of a second unit. Again, Yabu makes this second unit weak. Every team that's top tier. Like, let's look at last night's game again. Last night's game was a really good game for me to analyze because there's a lot of things that you're going to see going forward once the Knicks make one of these deals. And I'm thinking they're going to do it. But last night, the bench of the Golden State Warriors, Al Horford, Gary Payton II, DeAnthony Melton, Podziemski, and Will Richard. Those 5 guys played rotation minutes last night. They scored 5, 10, 13, 32, 35 points off the bench. 35. And that was including Santos, who got hurt. 5 minutes he played. But they scored 35 points off the bench. Take Santos 3 points out, still 32 points off the bench. If the Knicks had gotten that from their bench, this would have been a different game. And one player can make that difference. So, what am I saying? Yabu needs to go. He needs to go by the trade deadline. The Knicks need to go after either Precious Achiuwa or Sadiq Bey. Why? Because both of those guys can play multiple positions. Achiuwa is a 4 and a 5. Bey is a 4 and a 3. So they can both do it. Both of them defend at a high level. Both of them play basketball the right way. Okay? Achiuwa is, of course, a big-time rebounder. And Sadiq Bey can score when you want him to from three, right? And he's in that Villanova crew. So either one of those guys would work. So I guess what I'm saying is, I know people are jumping off bridges and acting stupid because they lost a few games. But I'm looking longer term. And I think we'll be in good shape. Because if we can move off of Yabu, and I'm very confident the Knicks can. We got enough. It's not like we got to give up first-round picks to get off Yabu. We can get off 7 second-round picks and a youngin that ain't playing anyway. Or a youngin that's going to have trouble finding minutes, Kolek. Okay? We got what we need to move off of Yabu and to pick up one of them cats. It depends on who wants to deal. I think we got a stronger chance with Sacramento. And the reason I say that is because, again, the cards are in Precious's court. He walks for nothing this summer. Do they want something for him, or do they want him to walk and get nothing? If I'm in their management, I'm going to take a couple second-round picks if I could get them, and then I'm going to deal with Yabu if I have to. And if I want a youngin, I can get him too. Same with New Orleans. They're going to have to move off. They got huge salary problems. Huge. For a team that's a scrubby team, basically a scrubby team. You know, they ain't going nowhere. They're going to be in the lottery again. So you got Jeremiah Fears. You got the young boy Queen. If you want to build off of them too, you can. You got Yves Missi, 21. Somebody mentioned him coming to the Knicks. Will y'all stop with the fantasy? Why would New Orleans give him a 21-year-old center? A good guy too. He's good. So, no, you got Yves Missi. You got Derek Queen. You got Jeremiah Fears. You can add another youngin. You need to get off. You got between, I'm just going to round it, between Zion, Jordan Poole, DeJounte Murray right now, that's $100 million. You need to get off that. Now, you could get off Williamson because there's going to be some team that's going to want to take him. Murray and Poole going to be a little bit more difficult to move, but you got to move them. And in order to move them, what you need to collect draft capital so that you probably have to give it away to trade these fools. Get rid of this $100 million and then build with Trey Murphy III. You might want to move Herb Jones. He's going to be a sweetener in the deal too. Tremendous defensive player, 27 years old, in his prime. So Herb Jones will be another guy that you can parlay to move these other big salaries. And again, you start with Trey Murphy III, Jeremiah Fears. You start with Derek Queen. You going from there, and then of course you still got Yves Missi. You got Micah Peavy. You got some young dudes you could start with. You're gonna be in the lottery anyway, so pick up some more draft capital and pick up some picks and some young players and move on with that. So now this is what we got. Then we got two guys, Precious Achiuwa and Saddiq Bey. Why? Again, let me just make sure before people start throwing names out there that won't make no sense. We don't want no people with 100,000 miles on the tires already, or the engine, right? 200,000 miles. These whole has-beens. Somebody was talking about Westbrook. Stop it. And we don't want another Yabu that's not ready to contribute. We need a vet that's ready to go. That's Bey. That's Precious. If you could name somebody else for real, we'll do it. But we don't need no more guards, so forget Alvarado. We do need a guy that can play multiple positions, 3 and 4, 4 and 5. Guard multiple positions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Because Precious could do that. Saddiq can guard 1 through 4. You need guys that can guard multiple positions, ready to contribute right now, ready to get into the rotation right now, about in his prime or close to it, that we can get at a decent salary. If you know somebody else, let me know. But those are the two guys that I see that's available that we could get. When I say available, I mean the two teams need to clear salary, okay? And in Sacramento's case, you need to clear salary, and your boy Precious could walk for nothing this summer. You want something for him, or you just want nothing? That's number one. And then, of course, New Orleans, I just mentioned, they need to move $100 million off their books. $100 million off their books. So, yeah, take young players back, take some draft capital, and start ready to do business this summer and cleaning up your books. You're going to be in the lottery again. So, I'm not as concerned with the Knicks going forward. I'm not concerned about Cat at all. He ain't got no knee problem. He got nothing that he can't bust people in the ass though. So we need to calm down with Cat. He played a great game last night. 17 points, 20 boards. He was hustling. He was snatching rebounds. Much better than the game before. Much better. And why? Not because of all you whiners, whiny bitches, whiny people out here whining about Cat. No, stop. It's because Mike Brown got in his ass. Just like y'all wanted him to. He did. And Cat positively responded. I think we'll be all right with our All-NBA, All-Star at 5 spot, Cat. And we're going to be all right with Jalen Brunson. But what we want to do is make sure we're all right if Brunson can't play, if Mitchell Robinson is out, or if Cat can't play. What are we going to do? Well, just this one player, either Sadiq Bey or Precious. And please don't try to tell me you can get both of them. Some of y'all just really... Anyway, no, you get only one of them. But either one will help you in these situations like we've been having the last few days when we don't have our whole contingent. When we got our whole contingent, we're going to bust people in their ass, no doubt. But right now, we don't. And we got to get off this schneid, right? So we need to make a move. The Don, I am sure, who plays chess on the three-dimensional level, is already on this situation. We're going to see how this plays out in the next couple of weeks. In the meantime, we're going to get Mitch Rob back for Saturday night. We got Shamit back. We got Deuce. We're going to have Brunson back. We're going to have a good contingent back for this weekend. Last weekend we did not. This weekend we will. So I'm expecting the Knicks to perform at a higher level. We'll be all right, y'all. Just chill, man. The Don getting ready to do business. And Knicks getting ready to do business. We'll be all right. No need to jump off cliffs and act stupid with the rest of X and Twitter or whatever the heck. Sure.